Hey everybody, it's Addison, and yesterday I asked people to send me messages with questions that they were wanting videos on because I'm here to not just give you the information I want to give you, but also to answer your questions to help you with your real life problems in your sex and your relationships. And one of the questions that I got in a variety of forms, everyone asked it a little bit differently, but in a variety of forms was, why is sex painful? How do I move past sex being painful? And when we really can't step into our sex because it hurts, then it really takes a toll on us, not just physically, because yes, we're in physical pain, but emotionally too. So our genitals are one of the areas of our bodies that is the most sensitive and can collect so much trauma. And we'll get to more of that in a minute, but when we end up traumatizing ourselves when we're having painful sex again and again. And so this messes with our emotions. And then also when we really want to connect with our partner and yet sex remains painful, then we start to build up these negative belief systems. And then we just feel disconnected. There's so many things that happen when we're having painful sex, or we're just not having sex at all because it is painful. And though I get this occasionally with guys that say, they're having some pain in their cocks or and things like that, for the most part, women are the people who come to me, or men come to me talking about their women. And so today I really wanted to focus in on women and painful sex, because there's a difference in male and female sex, in that a female is experiencing sex from the inside, where a guy, unless they're receiving anal sex, is receiving sex from the outside. And so it really is a different experience to have something happening on the outside of our bodies versus something happening on the inside of our bodies and it being painful. So one of the questions was really directly like, how do what do I do? What is the issue? And the problem is that there are so many reasons why someone could be having difficulties with pain during sex. But there are some ones that are more common that you really want to look at before going to any extreme measures of doctors and surgeries and things like that. The first is your woman warmed up enough? Are you warmed up enough? As a woman, if you're a woman, are you warmed up enough to be having sex in the first place? So a woman takes 20 to 40 minutes to be ready for penetration alone. So that is not the whole process. It's not 20 minutes of sex. It's 20 minutes at least, before your woman is ready to be penetrated. And so that means that the body has to relax. The body has to warm up. So that is a whole lot of foreplay. That's not just physical foreplay where maybe you're touching and stroking, but that is foreplay of the mind, foreplay of the heart. So really opening all of these areas up, which will then thus open the pussy up. So women, really the way you penetrate us is first through our hearts, and then it opens the rest of our bodies. And so if the woman's body is not truly ready for penetration, then you're going to hurt her. And even if it's not a direct feeling of like, ow, that hurts kind of moment, she's going to be numbing out. She's going to be storing that trauma. You really need to warm up the female body. It is super important because if the body's not ready to receive, then it's going to hurt. Especially if you're a man who is a larger man and you're not starting with penetration of, say, fingers or very small toys. If you're talking like like a penis, and maybe you're a larger man. I get that question a lot, like, how do I not make this hurt for my woman? And the first thing I would say is to make sure your woman is really warmed up before you penetrate her in any form or fashion. But especially if you're a larger man, before you penetrate her, you have to make sure that give her 1 or 2 orgasms prior with your fingers, with your mouth. Really, really allow her body to relax. And then the next is, does she have trauma stored in her body? And I know that is hard to, you can't just kind of go like check. There's no like checklist of if there's trauma. Most women have trauma stored in their body. Most people have trauma stored in their bodies. That just really is how we walk around these days. We're always storing. And so it is a process of constantly healing. And that is why I do the work I do with the clients that I do it with, because our bodies are constantly storing. And so if we can kind of stay on top of that, it's less likely to build up. But on that same note, maybe just give your woman a good massage, not going for climax, not going for orgasm, really just touching her genitals, really giving her some good massage, letting her body start to release some of that. And if you're a woman and you don't necessarily have a partner, there are things like yoni eggs. You can give yourself some good massage and self-pleasure to really start to warm up those muscles, kind of start to stretch things out. And I don't mean stretch things out in the way that we talk about women being, stretched out, but if our pussies are just like the rest of our body, in that if we have stored trauma, if we have really tight, overworked muscles, then what ends up happening is they get really tight, and we need to stretch them out. We need to create an expansion. And so some self-massage is great, getting a toy and really kind of going in there and just noting any areas that are tender, not like hit the ceiling painful, but just kind of tender, and really just giving some good massage on that, whether you let a partner do that or you're doing it. It's always better if you have a partner that can kind of help, because they're going to be able to get to areas of your body that you're not going to be able to get to. But really just slow, soft massage. Then there's the yoni eggs, and so starting to use those, and those, as you start to get it like a jade egg, as you start to work that egg in your vaginal canal, it'll start to kind of heal and release some of that trauma. And so then the next thing I would suggest is, if you have painful sex, communicate. Make sure you're communicating. So go slow. Just like I said, it takes 20 to 40 minutes. Go slow. If you're a man with a larger cock, then really, really talk to your woman. Like, how are you doing? Like, go slow. You don't have to rush into anything. And give your woman time to kind of open up. If you're a woman, something that you can do is start to kind of use different sized dildos. And I'm always a fan of more the stone and the glass, because they're not going to do any damage to our bodies, but to really start to kind of almost increase the size. So start small, and then if you're able to take that and it's not hurting a whole lot, then kind of moving up to the next level. Lots of OBGYNs do this with like dilators and stuff, but you can just go find like different size dildos and kind of work with your own body in that. And then lube would be my other suggestion. So if sex is painful with your man, then maybe you're not lubricated enough, which is twofold. So if you're not lubricated enough, the issue might be that you're not turned on enough, because our bodies are made to lubricate, and our bodies, when we're ready for penetration, will naturally lubricate. However, there are women out there that do have some hormonal issues. They have some difficulties with this, depending on the medications they're on and things like that. So they do have issues lubricating. And so if you really are turned on, if you're like grabbing at your man, you're like, no, I want you now, but yet it's kind of it hurts. It's almost like friction. Get some good lube, and I always suggest like coconut oil for this. So really get some lube and try to use that, and hopefully that will stop some of that friction. Though if you're not lubricating, you really need to go and speak with a medical professional. Have them check your hormone levels, look at your diet. Also look at the medications you're on, because it is amazing how the medications we're taking into our bodies affect our sex lives in ways we don't even realize. So even if the medication doesn't state on it that it creates lubrication issues, there's lots of different kind of verbiage that they will use. And a lot of medications will mess with a female's natural rhythms, especially when we start looking at medications that have hormones in them, such as birth control and things like that. And that is a different video, but really look at that. And then look at trust. And that is another piece of, if you have been hurt in the past, then certain positions might hurt. And I say that because your body is going to clamp down. You're not going to want to get into that position, because your mind is going to start kind of stopping you. And so it's going to start to hurt. And that is your brain saying, no, I'm not okay with this. This is going too fast or too far. Or this position scares me. And so at the end of the day, it really is going to come down to communicating with your partner, talking to them, and finding out kind of what's going on. What is the process? What is happening during their sex that is painful? Is it a specific area of the vaginal canal that's hurting? Is it a specific position that's hurting? Is it like more of a rubbing sensation? Or is it just all out like pain where like it's overly stretching? So that is my suggestions. Leave any comments, questions, anything below. Please share this video. Let's get the word out. Let's get some people healing their sex. Also, I have a $79 a month coaching program that I do online. I know through coaching calls and Skype calls and things like that. So if you're not in the DFW area, and you're needing some help with your sex life and just get some coaching, please feel free to reach out to me and we can get that started. Other than that, I will see you guys soon, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. www.addisonbell.net. Bye, guys.